Okay. We're going to continue with negotiations here for the next couple of days. We're going to work on preparing. So remember ISM's negotiation thing is you got planning, which we covered Friday. Then you've got preparing, which we're going to cover today and tomorrow. And then when I come back, we'll hit executing. But so looking at the negotiation plan, site, team selection, all that good kind of stuff. Not that he's in a Seahawk uniform anymore. But Russell Wilson's big saying when he was here is separation is in the preparation. So what I found when I was commodity manager was that I'll show you a written plan you can do for your negotiation. And it's a lot like the same reason we write out a speech when we're going to be giving it to senior management, because they don't want us fumbling through it. And you're not going to follow the plan word for word, because obviously the opposition doesn't always read the plan and follow it, but at least you'll have thought it through in your head and you'll be able to adjust. And what I found is the sales guys are usually pretty lazy, and they just kind of do it off the cuff. So you can really push them around if you've got a plan and you know what you're doing. So we'll kind of cover that from the ISM perspective today, and then next week we'll cover it from another perspective from the Seattle University guys. But so you need to write out the negotiation plan. For the same reason you write out your speeches. It helps you think it through. Without planning, you're unlikely to know the position, you're unlikely to anticipate what the other party's likely to do, and you're unlikely to know results or goals. And then this is responding to what they have to say and knowing if it's reasonable. So here's ISM's integrative model of negotiation plan. So you got the plan here in the middle. This is a lot like Porter's 5 forces. Nature of the product being purchased. You got supply market dynamics. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? You got your objectives, and suppliers got their objectives. So these two, the nature of the product and the supply market dynamics, are going to shape the proposal and negotiation objectives. So these two will influence these two. So gathering facts and analyzing data. Supply management should conduct supply market analysis. And interesting enough, this stuff should all look familiar because it comes from what we were talking about here the other days in creating the category management plan. It's the same thing, SCP, Porter's 5 forces, you can do day one, PESTLE analysis, SWOT analysis. These things are all pretty common. Porter's 4 corners is not as common, but still good. So these things we've covered before. Herfindahl, maybe not, but I'll cover that in a minute. And then, this is all industry analysis. This is company analysis for each of the major companies in the industry. Concentration, fragmentation in the industry, market growth, cap utilization, technology change, government regs, etc. So again, this is the SCP, and Packard prefers this to Porter's 5 forces. It's a little quicker to write. And here's the one that every business school teaches, Porter's 5 forces. I think this is the consumer products example. So this is written by Value Line, if you know who they are. It's a professional stock market service. We got a template here. Come on. It starts out this way, but it'll give you a lot more detail on each of the 5 forces. You can read through this if you've got a question on what belongs where. And here's another template. It's not working. but this template is usually probably the one you'd want to use. PESTLE analysis, we've looked at these before. And here's an article on the difference between PESTLE and SWOT. Like I said, the PESTLE analysis is more for third world countries where you're kind of worried about political stuff, technology, legal, environmental. In North America, well, certainly in the US and Canada, it's probably overkill to use something like this. There's also a steeple analysis, which is very similar to this, just another acronym. Here's the Herfindahl index. So this is a measure of market concentration. So this is June 2016 auto manufacturer market share. So here's all your auto manufacturers in different colors. So the way you do this is number of firms, and I don't know how many they got here, like a dozen. I is the firm in the marketplace, and that's the firm's share is S of I, and then what you do is you square the market share of each firm and sum them up. And for this one, it comes out to 0.116. And then you can go look through here, and you can see an H, which is this number, below 0.01 or 100, depending on how you want to multiply it out, indicates a highly competitive industry. This one is 0.116. So it's here, it's an unconcentrated industry. Then if you start getting higher, moderately concentrated, highly concentrated, which when it's saying concentrated, it means it's moving towards a monopoly. And above 1, it is a monopoly. So this Department of Justice uses this when they're doing horizontal mergers between companies and whether they'll go for them or not. If you start getting down in here, Department of Justice is going to say, no, you can't do that merger. It eliminates competition. The SWOT analysis again. And then Porter's Four Corners. I like to do these when I visit suppliers. If I'm meeting with their senior management, I like to go through this template and ask them questions. It kind of gives you an idea of how they're thinking. You know, what do they think their strategy is? What do they think their current capabilities are? What are their drivers? And then trends. So factors affecting the trends. So the industry rivalry, which is the fifth area of Porter's 5 forces, or the fifth force in the middle there. Stage in the life cycle of the product. Learning curve effect. We cover this in our LTAs. This is why we go for productivity savings. Because on a new part, as you get experience building it, you're going to build it faster, therefore less, therefore cheaper. So PECAR wants some of that savings back. Capacity utilization. This is a critical one for us in each of these firms. You know, are they at capacity? What if we increase our truck rates? Can they keep up? Technology change, government intervention. Most of that comes for us through our EPA regs. And pricing trends in the industry. Are prices moving up, moving down? So price industry indices used in raw material pricing. We try to use these as much as possible because it's a better way of judging whether inflation is causing raw materials to increase or not, as opposed to, let me see your invoices, which is kind of the fallback position, but invoices can be manipulated pretty easily. If you're in plastics and some of these other things that don't have good indices or market cost availability, it gets a little tougher. But things like rubber and metal and things like that, there's a lot of data available on where prices are at. So BLS, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, produces the PPI, which you hear about, and the CPI. And they have a lot of different indices that they use to do these. We also have some through our corporate accounting folks that they keep up. Controllers group keeps them in purchasing, and those are better ones to use than these, because sometimes what you'll find in these is they have this index, but it's only got like 2 companies in it. So it jumps around or doesn't ever drop or does weird things. Conduct the in-depth analysis of the supplier's proposal. So you've sent out an RFP, you've gotten a proposal back from the supplier, which is usually like 50 or 100 pages. You need to look through that and kind of get a feel for where they're at. If you want to compare different suppliers and different attributes, you might want to use a spreadsheet to line up requirements against the RFX and what each supplier is saying. And then you got to establish some negotiation objectives. What's a fair and reasonable price for the part you're trying to buy? Covers costs and provides a fair profit. You need to provide a fair profit, otherwise these guys go out of business and you got to go source it all over again. And so you need to know what that price is. The best way we have is to do some kind of tear down at the benchmarking center, or the DFMA group in Kenworth can give you pricing on the parts that we have drawings on. Timely performance, minimum essential needs, does it meet the specs? So must-haves are what's in the specifications. There may be other wants that engineering may want that are not in the specification. And positions versus interests. Things you want are position, interests are the underlying reasons for those positions. Control over contract performance. What if they don't deliver? Cancellation clauses, penalties and incentives. You want to spell that out as much as possible. Service level agreements are what's used downstairs on floor 2 for indirect purchasing. It's kind of like an SOW. And addresses actions and consequences if performance isn't met. That's usually what's in an SLA or a service level agreement. Maximum supplier cooperation. So the supplier's got to want to take this deal. And all parties need to be able to operate profitably under the agreement. Again, if you force the supplier into a loss situation, you're going to regret it. All right, so during a negotiation, the use of a period of time to strategize, get additional information, or refocus a team member is most commonly called, and this we didn't cover, but you see this question out there every once in a while. So break and timeout are wrong, but recess and caucus, and the way ISM uses them, is a recess is where both sides leave the negotiating room and go out and meet. And I think a caucus is where only one side leaves it and the other side stays in the negotiating room. Why they want to make that difference, I don't know, but they do. So what are they doing here? The use of a period of time to strategize, get additional information, or refocus a team. I'm going to say recess because it sounds like they got both sides going out. Let's see what these guys say. Caucus, all right. Common name for a suspension of the negotiation in caucus usually describes one team's withdrawal. Not that they said one team was withdrawing, but I guess that's inferred. Yeah, so the caucus is one side leaving, a recess is both sides leaving. All right, there are 5 questions out there. So why don't you guys go ahead and work them, and then just raise your hand when you get done, and we will cover the answers. One C2. There's actually 10 questions out there, but you only need to do the first 5. All right, let's go over some answers here. Number one is delta. The other three options are considered important elements in negotiating plan. Meeting minimum essentials and continued in actual negotiations, negotiation team. All right. 2 is Bravo. Written negotiation plan will help Luke think through what his goals are. 3 is Charlie. Options given the PESTLE. Because of the options given, the PESTLE analysis is the best answer. The other one would be Porter's 5 forces, but it's not an option, or SCP.
Pestle's number C.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's C. Okay, whoops.
Yeah. 4 is Alpha. Lennon needs to know what a fair and reasonable price is before going into the negotiation. And 5 is Bravo. 2 forces influence both the supplier's response to the RFP and the buyer's negotiation objectives. It's the market dynamics and the nature of the product. Any questions? All right. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll finish this up.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.